Yes, sir. You already know what time it is. Time for Sports Talk with Naj, where we keep it real and authentic. Break down football, basketball, and soccer. So, hey, man, stay tuned. Follow us on the socials, and make sure you tell a friend. Yes, sir. We'll see you on the other side. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sports Talk with Naj. Got another episode for you guys today, man. A lot to talk about. For this episode, man, we're going to be talking about some NCAA, Notre Dame football, looking to remain independent. Also, we're going to be talking about Justin Jefferson proclaiming himself as going to be the number one receiver after next season. Then we're getting into some NBA. Report from Chris Haynes basically saying that Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis had a call together and basically said they're going to try to figure this thing out. And then after that, we'll get to James Harden actually taking a pay cut and asking him some of his comments that he said. And then after that, we'll conclude the main section with some soccer. Barca lands Lewandowski in a great deal. And also we'll be getting into Christian Pulisic's comments on the World Cup, and also Erik Ten Hag talking a little bit about his interview with ESPN, and what's his hopes are for next season. And then we'll conclude with actually Juan, one of the best major leaguers right now in baseball, turning down a historic deal. So yeah, man, hope you guys are liking the content, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on the socials at Najee Wilk on Twitter and Instagram. And hey, man, again, love doing this with you guys. Love doing episodes and content, man. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and get at me on the socials, man. Any episodes or any topics you guys want me to talk about, would love to do it. But all right, man, without further ado, let's rock and roll. So we got right now, Notre Dame looks to remain independent. It's looking to earn at least $75 million annually in media rights revenue from current broadcast partner NBC. As you guys all know or don't know, NBC right now actually broadcasts all of Notre Dame's games, home, away, whatever games they have going on. For the most part, on Saturdays, they are pretty much broadcasting their games. This was according to sources told CBS Sports. The Fighting Irish's deal with the network is set to expire in 2025. For NBC to feel comfortable raising Notre Dame's valuations to such a level, it is seeking shorter programming. In this case, games played before and or after Notre Dame's contest from a Power 5 conference to enhance its college football coverage. So essentially, they're looking for other games they can put on before Notre Dame plays and after, which makes sense because they're trying to get more exposure to the NBC network and brand for college football. So only makes sense. When such move was speculated previously, Big Ten Conference mentioned that most often as a target. However, the Big 12 has emerged as a strong option to fill NBC's shoulder programming needs. Big Ten is expected to announce a new $1 billion media rights deal, possibly as early as next month, with Fox as its primary partner. It's believed to be seeking 2 to 3 other partners to air its programming, with NBC reportedly among bidders. So basically, current deal right now for Notre Dame averages around $15 million per year. But Notre Dame is earning $22 million annually due to the backloaded nature of the contract. Dennis Dodd, basically CBS Sports, the writer for this, and where I got a lot of this information from. So, for me, Notre Dame has been for years always been independent, always been, by themselves. They played some ACC teams. They've had some, showdowns with the Pac-12 teams. They've had some showdowns with Big Ten teams. They've had some showdowns with SEC teams. So they're looking to remain independent. I think the biggest concern is just NBC's looking to have other games on before they play and also after they play. So we'll see how it goes. But obviously Notre Dame doesn't want to be pegged to any conference. I think if they were ever to join one, I think the ACC would be really intriguing. It would add more intrigue there. As you know, like, the ACC is really a top horse race for the most part. Last year we had Wake Forest kind of step up and be in the Pitt won it all and beat them in the ACC championship game. But for the most part, it's been a one-horse race with Clemson for the most part. I mean, last year they had a down year, but more times than not, it's Clemson up there. So I would love to see more competition, obviously, in the ACC as the SEC gets stronger and as, other conferences like the Big Ten has gotten stronger as well. But we look to remain independent and kind of get that revenue. So we'll see what kind of happens here. But I would love for them to join the ACC if they were to do so. But that probably isn't going to happen. That's just probably wishful thinking. But they're going to look to remain independent and secure that deal with NBC. So we'll see kind of what NBC does and if they're able to get some games before and after Notre Dame, which I think would be good for the network and also, other exposure besides just Notre Dame football. But pretty much Notre Dame football is synonymous with NBC. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is an interesting move for Notre Dame as they try to, land this new deal. and we'll see what happens. They're also in a new regime, got a new head coach, as Brian Kelly has left and went to LSU. So, curious to see how the program performs this year as well. But keeping it going, last topic for NFL, or excuse me, for football, is Justin Jefferson claiming himself as the top receiver after next year. Now, right now, Devontae Adams is kind of revered as the top receiver. Then it's like Cooper Kupp after him. So I do like Justin Jefferson, though. I think the numbers he's put up, and I'm going to name some of his numbers he's puts up with a, in my opinion, average quarterback at Kirk Cousins. I mean, if you look at his win-loss record, it's pretty average. I think it's like 500 or right below 500. So, yeah, for him to put up those kind of numbers, basically being the main target, no disrespect to Adam Thielen. You know, he could play, he's good, but we all know that Jefferson's the number one. And I think if they have another season like they had last year, again, they got a new coach coming in too, the former offensive coordinator for the Rams. So curious to see how that goes, and hopefully that meshes well. And they got a great elite running back in Dalvin Cook. But, you know, after a while, man, you keep getting and not going to the postseason. I know Jefferson eventually is going to probably be like, hey, maybe I should seek a trade. Maybe I should sign somewhere else, maybe free agency. We'll see. But for him to proclaim it, I mean, bro, he has great numbers. So a lot of times I kind of I criticize players, I would say, for having or saying these bold statements and not having like numbers or not having done anything in the league yet. But for me, he holds the most receiving yards in the player's first 2 seasons in NFL history right now, with 3,016 yards. It tops the number in NFL for all players since 2020. And he's also tied with Michael Thomas for most catches in his first 2 seasons with 196. So he's come in the league and really set it on fire. Last year, to me, he should have won, or the year before, he should have won Rookie of the Year. He was going against like Justin Herbert, but I thought his numbers were spectacular as a rookie last year, and he actually set the rookie record, I think, in receiving yards before Jamar Chase eventually broke it, you know what I'm saying, this past season. So I think he's a great target. I think he's a great receiver. I love his route running. I love his contested catch ability. I love his burst and his speed as well. So I think he's a top-tier receiver. Obviously, I think he was top 5 ranked in Madden ranking. So, I mean, for him to proclaim this and have some good numbers, I really don't mind. I'm curious to see if he's able to do it. Again, I think he has an average quarterback in Kirk Cousins, but we'll see. We got a new regime now starting in Minnesota, so I'm curious to see how this team plays and performs. But, I mean, I really don't have a problem with him saying that. He has some great numbers his first 2 seasons. Biggest thing in NFL is consistency, so let's see if he can put it up for a 3rd season. And I think if he does it 3 seasons in a row and putting up these astronomical numbers, who's to say he's not the top-tier receiver in the game? But he also did give respect to Devontae Adams and said he believes he is the best receiver right now, but that, you know, he's on his heels, he's coming for the crown. So, I mean, respect to him, and respect to him for being confident as well and having numbers and having that mentality to really back it up. So that's my thoughts on that, man. That's going to conclude the NFL section. So, yeah, some basketball. Lakers phone conversation. Basically, Lakers are no closer to trading away Russell Westbrook, who's really been thrown in rumors with Kyrie Irving all summer long. Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook gets sent to Brooklyn. Kyrie Irving pairs back and reunites with LeBron James. But no really traction on that. That's been all since free agency has really started. But the LA Stars are preparing for possibly playing together again next season. So LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook reportedly had a phone conversation where the trio expressed commitment to each other with hopes of making it work for next season. So this is per Chris Haynes, who reported this. So, you know, for me, I think they should run it back. I'm curious to see what Westbrook is going to do as far as, you know, to buy into the team element. You know, he's played on a lot of teams recently. You know, he went from OKC to Houston to Washington and then now to LA. So, yeah, that's like 4 different teams. So I'm curious to see if he's going to buy in, if he's going to take his role, if he approved, you know what I'm saying, certain parts of his game, obviously, and what mentality he's going to have going into next season. I like the coach, Darvin Ham. I'm not going to lie to you. The assistant they hired from Milwaukee, I like the coach. You know, I like how he's going to pretty much challenge players. I like how he comes in. I like his mentality, his approach. So I'm curious to see if he's going to buy into the system, buy into the coaching scheme, buy into the culture. And I think if he do, he could be really successful next year. So I would not mind seeing the Lakers run it back next year. But it's just going to be – you can't really say, like, this roster is good enough to contend. I mean, you can't. Have to see what Westbrook does next year. Have to see if Anthony Davis can stay healthy, basically. But they need other supporting parts around them. They need other good to great players around them. So I'm curious to see how they perform. I think if everybody plays to their capability and buys in, I think they could be a 6 to a 5 seed next year in the standings. But it all depends on the health, buying in, and being totally committed. So that's the biggest thing for the Lakers if they're going to decide to keep Westbrook, which looks like they are, but that's just according to the report. So that's my thoughts on it, and we'll see what happens next season. So last NBA topic, basically James Harden agrees to take a pay cut. He declined his $47 million player option, and I criticize James Harden pretty heavily as well. But last year, as he alluded to, looking at his numbers, he did average almost a triple-double with 10.5 assists, 10.1 assists, 21 points, and then 7.5 rebounds. So it did look like to me that he lost some of his burst. He didn't look like he was the same player. But honestly speaking, it could be rehabbing from injury. So what I will say on Harden is, why I always critique him is that he doesn't come and doesn't shows up in those big key moments, in those high-pressure leverage moments. So when your team needs a bucket, or it's towards the end of the game, or it's in the playoffs, to me, he always underperforms. He plays great throughout the season, but when the playoffs comes, or it's that big moment, like, he underperforms, in my opinion. So that's why I've always had Harden, as a tier below some of the, superstars, in the game. So I'm curious to see how he performs next year. Fully full rest. He doesn't look like he's going to come into camp out of shape. He looks like he's slimmed down. So credit to him for doing that. Credit to him for taking the pay cut and actually trying to have it and telling Daryl Morey basically, let's build a good team around us so we can contend for a title. Because like I said, his number one goal really is to win a championship. So I respect him for that. Now I just have to see it be put in action. So he's done the necessary steps, in my opinion, to kind of confirm and kind of pretty much put Philly in a position to contend for a title. So it's just going to be, can he perform on the court? Is he going to leave all the other stuff, all the side antics, all the, partying, all the other stuff out the window? So that's the biggest thing for Harden. Is he going to fully buy in, fully focus, no distractions, no trade requests, perform in the postseason when his team need him, and that's what I look at. And to me, he doesn't have to have 30, 40 a game no more. He don't have to do that. But I've always been an advocate of, what are the other ways you're going to affect the game? Are you going to play some defense? Because defense really, man, is just effort. How much effort are you willing to give? Are you going to out-hustle that next player? Are you the player that actually wants it? And that's been one of the things I've clamored for Harden. Do you really want it? And to me, he's taking the steps to show that he does. But now I have to see it in action and in performance to see him do it. So I did want to give him a shout out for looking like he's going to come into camp ready. He didn't slim down, look like he's all focusing, he's buying in. And then 2, for taking the player, declining the player option, taking the pay cut, and allowing the team to really build around him and Joel Embiid. And like I said, the biggest thing will be health for them. Again, buying in and that total commitment. So I'm curious to see. They landed a few players that he used to play with in Daniel House and also PJ Tucker. So I'm curious to see how they're going to perform next season, and if some of these steps he's taking right now in the offseason are going to really pan out. So that's my biggest thoughts on Harden. I will give him props for the steps he's taken this offseason and what he's done, but I want to see him do it. We know he's going to do regular season. We know he's going to perform, obviously. But I want to see him do it in the playoffs. And then, like I said, when I get new evidence, I will change my stance. But until then, no. But I will give him a shout out and say he's taking the necessary steps that he needs to take in order for his team to be great next year. I'll leave it at that. Now, concluding for today, and our main topic is going to be soccer before we get into miscellaneous. Christian Pulisic is ready for World Cup success. So he pretty much understands the perception as, this USA or US MNT team has not had, a variable amount of success when it comes to World Cups. And, the history really suggests otherwise. Like, they haven't done anything really relevant for some years. But I like Pulisic. He plays for one of my favorite teams in Chelsea FC. I like his approach. I like what he said as well. It basically said, if you don't believe that it can happen, it won't happen. Pulisic told ESPN's Hercules Gomez in an interview for Football Americas. We've seen crazier things happen for sure, and I truly believe that we have a strong team, a strong group of guys that can accomplish anything. So that's just the way I think and the way that I'm going to believe going into this World Cup. So, and his last statement was, I think we're going there with the intention to win the World Cup, he said. We're going to go in as a confident, hungry side that's not going to back down from anyone, and we can feel And we feel that we can really make moves in this World Cup. Now I'm going to mention who they're going to actually play. Give me 1 second. Okay, so basically how it goes, their match days, they'll play Wales, who has actually Gareth Bale, the team that made it really, because of him. He is actually now with LAFC as he hit the transfer window and went there from Real Madrid. But again, a winnable game, but we will see. That's their first game in the group stage, and they play England. England is a team you cannot sleep on. This is going to be a big game, I think, as well. That's going to be November 25th. So a couple of days after November 21st. And then November 29th, they'll play Iran at 2 p.m. So, to me, they have some winnable games in there. None of the games are going to be easy, but they're going to have to do their work. They're going to have to buy in. And I think they have a really good roster. We have to see what happens with their player. He got hurt. I can't think of his name. But, hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Yes. Okay. I'm back, guys. Sorry. So, yes, Gio Reyna actually got hurt last season. Young guy. He's been kind of plagued by hamstring injuries. So, basically, I'm curious, man, to see, if he's able to play. I think he's a dark horse candidate that could play well. I remember him having a highlight against Mexico. And, he basically was just, going crazy with the dribbles and with the football and with the soccer ball. And I think he's another candidate that could be really good alongside Pulisic. We'll see if he's going to start most games. Pulisic will, but those are some of their key matchups, and I think they got to land top 2 in order to advance basically to the knockout stages. So those are their games. I like the confidence going into the World Cup. Pulisic is somebody I'm keeping my eye on. I'm curious to see how the others around them can perform, including Eriksen and a couple others. So that's my thoughts on that. And now moving into Erik Ten Hag as he talks to ESPN. Really it's been a tough stretch for Manchester United. They have not won a trophy, basically any kind of trophy in 5 years, and they have not been number one or have not won a Premier League title in 9 years. So it's been a minute. They're going through a new regime. They have former Ralf Rangnick as their interim boss, who is left now. I don't think he's on the board anymore as well. And then they brought in Erik Ten Hag, and they had a great start. They beat Liverpool 4-0 in the preseason tour. So, again, but just preseason, but a good telltale sign. They added 3 new defenders in Tyrell Malacia, Lisandro Martinez, and Christian Eriksen, who's a midfielder. Actually, Eriksen is the other 2 are defenders. And really, it was a rough season for them last year. They gave up a lot of goals and opportunities. They gave it up to the opposing attack. So I'm curious to see how they're going to perform. It looks like they're going to keep Harry Maguire as their captain. It looks like they're also in talks to try to keep Ronaldo and get him to extend his contract. The big thing with Ronaldo is he's really trying to play Champions League football. But as you know, they finished, I think, top 6 last year. So they'll be playing Europa football. So basically, it's a new regime now from Manchester United. I do like the direction they're going in. I do like the players they added. Still a question mark with Frankie de Jong, which I'll get into in a second. But I like the players they've added, and I like how he answers these interview questions. He looks like he's a manager that's buying in, that's all in, and really wants the best for his players and the team. So I'm going to reveal a little bit of the ESPN interview that they basically have with him, just a couple of questions and how he responded. And to me, if you're a Manchester United fan, you got to love the way he approached these questions and how he answered them as well. So I'll get into a couple of those questions. So basically he said, some of the players say it's been the toughest preseasons they've experienced. Is the fitness level of the squad something you thought needed to be addressed? He answers, yes, this is why we started them quite early, fitness, but also I wanted to bring in a certain way of playing. It won't be done when we finish preseason, but when we finish preseason, we have to get results. And he says, what is that certain way of playing? We want to play proactive, attacking football where it's possible. We want to play good, but if we don't play good, we still have to win. And then his final question basically was, what gives you confidence that you can see where others have failed? I must say I have a strong belief this is a big challenge, but until now, everywhere I've been, I've got the maximum out of my teams, and this is the project that is most difficult. I realize that, but I'm here, so I am convinced that I can do it. So again, man, you gotta love the response that he had. Gotta love how he approaches these questions. It really looks like that they hit gold to me, Manchester United, with Erik Ten Hag as their coach. Again, it's gonna take time to rebuild this team, but you gotta love how the players they have. Marcus Rashford, I think, should have a good season next year. Jadon Sancho. We'll see what happens with Ronaldo. But they got some good pieces, and I feel like they've eliminated any drama or any players that don't want to be there out of there. So shout out to them for that. And I think next year they're going to have a really good season. So don't sleep on Manchester United if you see them possibly competing for a top 6 spot again next year or even a top 4 spot. I think this is a team that you're going to see kind of shock a couple people because, it's really a two-headed race in the Premier League right now with Liverpool and Manchester City, especially after they landed Erling Haaland as well. But keep an eye on Manchester United, man. They might surprise some folks next year. And then our last topic we'll basically be talking about is Lewandowski. Robert Lewandowski signs with Barca. Basically, he would join Barca after the clubs reached a verbal agreement. This was this past weekend, Saturday. As you guys all know, Lewandowski's 33. He's won the Golden Boot for Europe's leading goal scorer, and he finishes a runner-up for the 2021 Ballon d'Or, which basically you're the best player in football or in soccer. But he's joining Barca on a $45 million fee with additional $5 million in variable, sources told ESPN. And he will join Pablo Torre, Frank Kessie, Andreas Christensen, and Raphinha on some of the players that Barca has added. Now, as I said, I have another podcast with a buddy. I think that Barca really won that January transfer window that they had like mid-season, and I really think they've added some good players. Now, I don't know where they're getting this money from with Barca because, they're in the financial situation. They still owe, I think, Frankie de Jong $17 million. So I don't really know where to get this money from, but I've heard they landed some new deals with like Spotify and some media rights deals where they have that money coming in. So we'll see what happens with Frankie de Jong. It's still kind of a question mark. I know Manchester United is very interested actually in him, but it's been a hold up with the money, and it's kind of been almost a hold up. I'm saying, maybe I want to stay. We got to see what's going to happen. But overall, I think this is another roster that's going to be interesting. El Clasico next year should be really good, as they have Eden Hazard, Karim Benzema, Vinicius Jr., and then now you got Lewandowski, Raphinha, and Kessie as well. So next year should be really good, man. When the El Clasico comes around, as you guys know, they play twice a year, but it's a big, major game between both teams. So we'll see what happens, man. But I think overall that a great move for Barca. Again, I don't know where they're getting this money from, but a great move for them, and I think they really have improved their roster over the last January transfer window and now going into the new season. So look for Barca to be able to contend again. As last year they won the top 2 spot. I think they were like a lot lower in the rankings. They were like 6, but they catapulted themselves all the way to 2. So they'll be playing Champions League football next year. So we'll see what happens, and I'm curious to see how Lewandowski can perform with Barca with his new team. All right, guys, and our last topic basically for today is going to be Juan Soto turning down a historic contract from the Nationals. The historic deal would have paid him 14 years, $440 million, which would have basically been the biggest contract ever in MLB history. But he turned it down. Also, as a side note, he also won the home run derby last night. But I can't really blame him. The Nationals right now are the worst ranked team in baseball. I think they are. Hold on, let me get this. Yeah, right now they're 31-63. They're the worst team in baseball right now. So I think that went into his decision for turning down that historic offer. And he's only 24 years old, so this would have guaranteed him there until he's 38. So I think, he got 2 more years before he's eligible to become a free agent. I think he's thinking, okay, I'll be 26 years old, still be probably just hitting the prime of my career. I can maybe go somewhere else in a winning culture. Because right now, there's question marks right now with their ownership, especially, and they haven't been running great, really, in a long time. And a lot of the core team, like Trey Turner, and the core team that won the MLB or won the World Series in 2019 is pretty much gone. So I think that's what Juan Soto is thinking, like, okay, maybe I can go somewhere else. And he's actually been floating in trade rumors as the Yankees and Mets are some teams that are actually interested in him. And the Washington Nationals aren't opposed to trading the superstar. So I think this is really interesting news. I don't blame him, especially with how the team's been run recently. Question about the ownership, but the possibility of him actually getting sold, he's probably thinking this might not be the greatest move for my career. Maybe I should do something else. Maybe I should go somewhere else. So I think that's where kind of the rationale I thinking came. So, shout out to him for winning the home run derby last night, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks to months to see if he possibly gets traded, because there has been some teams clamoring for him. I think Aaron Judge maybe reached out to him, possibly, come join us or whatever. So we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, right now, worst team in baseball right now, the Nationals are. And I think Soto's thinking, like, even though this is a historic offering, can set me up for life, I want to play on a winning team and a winning culture. So I think that's why he basically said no. But yeah, guys, that's going to conclude for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is Sports Talk with Naj. I'm Naj, the host. Hope to see you guys soon, man. Comment below, man, what you think about what we talked about today, and what you think about Soto turning down a historic offer. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one, man. And hope you guys have a good week. Peace.